D-Hop making one-hand catches, fights going on in practice, ex-Raven signing with the Steelers. So much to talk about on this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast. Yes, welcome back to episode 324 of the Purple Rain Podcast. So just sit back while I go through some of these names. Just stay with me. The Kyle Arrington, Brandon Carr, Jadeveon Clowney, Dominique Foxworth, Corey Graham, Marcus Peters, David Pittman, Alvin Porter, Darian Stewart, Sharice Wright, and most notably Malaki Starks edition of the Purple Rain Podcast. Thank you for coming through, spending your Monday evening with us. A whole lot of news to talk about. Active Ravens news, NFL news that kind of correlates to the Ravens, video game news that correlates to the Ravens. A whole lot of Ravens news out on this Monday, July 28th. Thank you for spending your Monday evening with us. Like I said, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. This guy above me on Instagram or on X at SuttonDef. Me, Instagram SimplyAS10.prod or on X SimplyAS10. And most importantly, our sponsor, Manscaped. Go on there, use code PRP for 20% off your whole order and free international shipping. Sutton, Monday is here. Start of a new week, start of more Ravens news. How are we feeling?
Feeling good, man. I mean, again, time ticking down. The weeks are dwindling. I think we've got like 5 weeks or something like that until we get regular season football back. That is amazing to me. Actually, we get a football game this week. I think this Thursday is the Hall of Fame game. So yeah, I mean, not only is training camp here, preseason is pretty much here as well. So this is gonna be a lot of fun these next couple of months, and I'm so excited for it. So in short, I'm doing really well, Alex. Thank you for asking. Before we get into anything else, we do have a super chat donation on your head from DWAS. What's going on, DWAS? Pulling up from the parking lot, dropping the 2-piece in the chat, making it rain here on episode 324 of PRP. We appreciate you, brother. Says D Hop had a one-handed catch over Nate Wiggins today. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, slow down, slow your roll, DWAS, slow your roll. I'm gonna leave this comment up here for a little while. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to definitely circle back to this, and we appreciate your super chat donation. So we want to let you rock out here on the screen. Again, always good hearing from you, DWAS. Let's see who else we have here in the chat. I see we got Daryl Turner in the house. Says we live tonight. Hope you guys doing good, doing well for asking. Says so excited for this season. Let's talk about that D-Hop one-handed snag and Mike Green looking like a beast. Yeah, man, it's a lot to get to, Daryl. Thank you for coming through. We got RJ Ori in the house. What's going on, RJ? Says, yes, sir. I'm here in DC, catching my favorite podcast live, counting on the days till stadium practice. All I can say is thank you, Jesus. Amen to that, brother.
Sure.
We appreciate you coming through. All you guys watching this episode 324 PRP. You know, we got a lot to get into. Like my guy Alex said, some video game news. Alex, how about we just that really quick? How about we just start with the fact that Lamar Jackson is part of the 99 Madden Club. It was announced today. Him and a couple other guys. I want to bring up the entire list here. I know the only quarterbacks were Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, but let's see who the other ones were. You have it pulled up, Alex, off the top of your head?
Yeah, I can pull it up right now, actually. So we have the Madden 99 club. Obviously, he was given the 99 chain. 7 members of this club. They include Saquon Barkley, Lane Johnson from the Eagles, Jamar Chase, Bengals, Justin Jefferson, Vikings, Josh Allen, the Bills, and then Myles Garrett of the Browns, and of course, Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens. 7 members, which to me, you can call me an unk, you can call me old. I say it's utter woke nonsense. 7 players is way too much. I feel like 5 or less is right. 7 is a little too much for me. I think back in the old days, not everybody got 99. And I don't think some guys on the list deserve a 99, but that's maybe a topic for another day. But yeah, congratulations to all those who made it. I kind of expected Lamar to be 99. I expect him maybe get some cover shouts, but I'm happy he's not on the cover. Obviously, Saquon deserves it with that backwards hurdle for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Thank you again, DWAS, dropping another super chat donation in the chat here, dropping another 2P. Says, why are Chiefs fans crybabies? I haven't seen Chiefs fans, shedding tears. If you have, let me know what you've seen. Alex, have you seen that?
Honestly, it was because of the Madden cover. I saw that they were using that GIF
Really?
of like Mahomes like uh, taking notes because he wasn't a 99, and I'm like, honestly, as an NFL fan, I'm not mad at it. He's honestly regressed the past 2 years, and this is no slight. If you look at the stats he has, and granted he got the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, that says a lot about his regression. But if we're talking about strictly the past 2 years, I don't think he deserves to be 99.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see why, he would not be 99 status, especially like you said after the past 2 seasons. But looking at guys who are on this list, I don't, I don't see Josh Allen being a 99. I'm sorry. I mean, I honestly agree with you when you say it's like utter woke nonsense that there's so many guys in the 99 club this year because like to be a 99 is like, of course, it's not perfect because they don't do 100 out of 100 on Madden. There's 99, so it's like there's always some room for error just in case, that sort of thing. But me, coming off of the seasons that Lamar Jackson had and Josh Allen had, to say that they're both 99s would say that the seasons that they had are comparable, right? And we're not talking politics. We're not talking about team stats, things like that, because of course, or team achievements, because we know the Bills bounced the Ravens out of the playoffs last year. But when you look at the individual seasons that these guys had, and I don't have the numbers pulled up side by side, but Lamar Jackson was doing things that were just absolutely unprecedented, right? So I think he would deserve more of a 99 than a Josh Allen. But it just kind of feels like little pity, little sympathy, kind of the MVP award. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying there or no?
I see it, and I put up a list from the past 20 years of the Madden 99 history. Give me any year in the past 20, and we can talk about compare these 99s then 99s now, and I just want to get your opinion. So give me a year, pick a year, and I will tell you the 99 club for that year.
Okay, this is good. Let's go 2014.
2014. Okay. AKA Madden 25, a great Madden, all right, with the one with Barry Sanders on the cover.
Yes.
Love this game to pieces. There were three 99s: Calvin Johnson, Adrian Peterson, JJ Watt.
Mm, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I could totally see that. Of course, these are basically they're judging these 99s that they're rating them by how they performed the previous season. So we can't these guys, Adrian Peterson, Calvin Johnson, we can't take their entire careers into consideration. I guess they're just talking about this is like the height of a 2014 Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
I have to go back and look at that season from him. I'd have to go back and look at that season. But it's an interesting comparison. It's an interesting comparison because when I look at the receivers on this, or when I look at the running backs, Saquon Barkley and Adrian Peters, I don't really know that Saquon Barkley either deserves to be a 99. Hell, I don't even know if Lamar Jackson all the way deserves a 99. I think I think that we're kind of like you said, utter woke nonsense. I think that it's more so kind of like your favorite slash most popular slash
Yeah.
had a really because I just don't know, man. The whole 99 thing to me, I don't get it. I don't understand. That's where I'll leave it. I don't understand it.
Yeah. I pulled up Adrian Peterson's 2013. He ran for damn near 1,300 yards in 14 games and 10 touchdowns,
Yeah.
which that's really impressive. Obviously, guys running for 2,000 now, but I do think that's impressive. Give me one more year and we can talk about it there. I would love to.
How about 2011?
11, a little bit more, but Patrick Willis, Darrell Revis, Peyton Manning, Chris Johnson, Drew Brees, and Jared Allen.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
that
And
was
I could see those.
fully deserved.
Yeah, I would say I could see those for sure in 2011. Um, but yeah, just kind of fast forwarding again back to today. Again, man, I just don't see a world where they deem of these players, really. I could see if you want to give Jamar Chase a 99. I
I
could
get
see
that.
that. Jamar Chase, I think, totally deserves a 99. If I had to pick who I really think deserves to be on the 99 club out of this list, I think it's Jamar Chase. End of list, to be honest with you. I think the only one who deserves to be a 99. The guy just continues to put up yards and crazy stats every single season. No matter how I try to cover this guy, he always seems to get his. I mean, the Ravens fans, we know that up close and personal for firsthand. But Justin Jefferson is like just one step below him. Um, I don't think, again, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, if you want to give them anywhere between the 87 and 98, I'm cool with that. 99 means that you are just, to me, you're the most dominant at your position. It's hands down, right? It's really no debate about it. Um, and I think that's what Jamar Chase is. Other than that, even Miles Garrett, I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put him as a 99 either. There were games where Miles Garrett was basically silenced, right? So that's just, I don't know. I don't really know what we're doing here. I don't know what EA is. I would love to get with Chad Ochocinco, who I know is a Madden ratings adjuster and very publicly known to be so. Want to know what the criteria is in order to be part of the 99 club, which I'm sure he'll probably cover on their podcast tonight. So I got to check that out. But interesting stuff nonetheless. Interesting stuff nonetheless that Lamar Jackson was 99. Proud of him for it. But let me see. Before we get out of here, Lisa has a question. What's going on, Lisa? And I also see the Don in the chat. Don
What's
C.
up? What's up?
What's going on, Don? Appreciate you for coming through. Appreciate you for coming through, Lisa, as she 2000 and 2012, Alex. If you could pull those up and see who were the 99s from those years.
So 2000, I think they used some throwbacks, I want to say. So it was Dermontti
Sure.
Dawson, Barry Sanders, and Matt Turk. And then
Okay.
2012, Tom Brady, Antonio Gates, Troy Polamalu, Darrell Revis.
Okay. Okay. So Reeves was back to back 99. Yeah.
Revis Island.
That Revis Island. Yeah, those days were
3
crazy. Those
years
days were
and
crazy.
13.
Wow. Wow. Shout out to Darrell Reeves, man. One of the best corners of all time. But there you have it, Lisa. Let's go ahead and get into what we came here to talk about today on this episode of the Foray podcast. Listen, training camp week 2 is underway, right? Lots to talk about there, lots coming Castle. Without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into our Purple Rain report here.
Yes. So we are here day 5 of the Ravens training camp, and a lot of news like that might take the cake right there. I mean, Mike Green's using absolute power to just absolutely knock down a tight end, or maybe this right here, like DWAS mentioned, other people mentioned that DeAndre Hopkins one-handed catch. I mean, they called OPI for the whole face mask, but one hand like that, zero effort. I mean, I don't want to hear about, the wash allegations. That's a receiver 3. That's very impressive. Another story, Tyler Loop here. I know you said he missed, I think, 3 field goals today, which is worrying because, like you said, I think on Friday he had a 63-yarder, 65, and maybe a 68-yarder at a
68.
point. Yeah. Um, that's very, very impressive. And then, you go and miss some 45, I think a 38, and I don't know, 43, I believe. So a little accuracy trouble was there, but all in all, getting work done. This was the first practice with the pads. I believe Bateman missed it, Jair missed it, Jalen Armour Davis left early, and Bilal Kone missed it as well. Jake Hummel did make his NFL or Ravens debut, I should say, at the practice as well. So a lot of work going on. I know you have notes. What do you have for us?
Yeah, so most of my notes I'm getting from some of the Ravens beat writers who are on site at the castle watching these things unfold. The one I'm going to be pulling from today is going to be Jonas Schaefer. Shout out to Jonas Schaefer, always doing good work in the field. Couple things. You mentioned Rashad Bateman was not there. Rashad Bateman was actually sent home today with an illness. Kind of much to his chagrin, he went out there saying, the guy's eager. Rashad Bateman is primed for a big year, if you ask me. We heard last week what he did in training camp, catching that deep touchdown, I think in between Nate Wiggins and Kyle Hamilton. As we know, the connection between him and Lamar Jackson reached new heights last with Bateman scoring 10 touchdowns, scoring a touchdown in every single playoff game that they played, albeit it was just 2. This guy, Rashad Bateman, is going to be, but he was out today with an illness. He'll probably be back a little bit later this week, and we'll get to see him. He was also supposed to interview today as well, but of course he missed that due to him being sick. So just was the Ravens wide receiver coach who said some things, and then also Zay Flowers. Other than that, talking about the I words, you mentioned Jair Alexander. Jair Alexander, he did not practice. He had he had to get his knee drained. He had to get some drainage, from his knee. Apparently, he will be practicing tomorrow. Let me see what else I have here. Like you said, Bilal Coney was one who was out as well, and then Jalen Armour Davis left practice. But I don't think it's anything serious with him either. So we'll continue to monitor those. Other notes here, like you mentioned, Tyler Loop. Let's talk about Tyler Loop right here and now. And if you're watching here in the chat, if you're watching live right now, thank you so much for joining this episode 324 of the Purple Rain podcast. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel as well. We'd appreciate that. Lots more content coming out over the course of the season. Join our memberships. To be exclusive membership only videos when the season starts, because there's gonna be a lot of content to cover. Too much for me to just kind of put all out on the main channel. So we're gonna be divvying it up a little bit. But getting to Tyler Loop, I want to hear what you guys are saying, what you guys think about Tyler Loop, your current assessment. Because again, on Friday, I was out and about, right, and a notification comes on my phone that Tyler Loop hit a 68-yard field goal in training. My jaw hit the floor. I knew this kid had a leg, but I did not know that it was like that. All this kick from 68 yards, of course, it was uncontested, right? It's not in a live game or anything like that. There's no pressure. He's not even in pads. But to know that he's got the leg, I think the accuracy can be taught. I think that can be fixed. That is a learning, in my opinion. Now, fast forward to today, when news is coming out that he missed from, let me see, he missed from 38, 43, and 45, like I think you had said. It kind of brings me back down to earth with Tyler Loop. So really all it is you got to wait for that first preseason game. I think the first preseason game is what, next week, I want to say?
Yes, the 7th.
Yeah. The 7th, yeah. The 7th is the first preseason game for the Ravens. I fully expect to see Tyler Loop out there. I fully expect for them to give him the opportunity when drives stall to go out there and see if he can bang through, some 40-yarders in live action, maybe even a 50-yarder, just to see where he is, So let me see. We got I2 in the chat here says, I'm excited again. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Tyler Loop as well. But what do you think, Alex?
The old Ravens pull you back in. They're going to pull you back in. Hopefully, don't hurt us this time come January. But it's happened so many times. It's been story of our years, so many years before. We're not, what, 8th revenge short, it feels like, is what people say.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going to Tyler Loop, I do agree. It is a accuracy thing. And like you mentioned, he's wearing the camera so they can see, maybe where a slight tweak they can make just to get the accuracy rate. Because you can teach accuracy, you can't teach power. You can be the most accurate guy in the world, but if you don't have that leg power to hit a 50-yarder, I mean, that's kind of why we moved on from Matt Stover. Matt Stover kind of just lost the power in his leg, and we had to move on and went through the pain of the Hauschkas and the Cundiffs, but we landed with the Tuckers, and that's kind of, I think, what is going to win Loop this job is how far he can kick, and just teach him how to just get it in between those uprights. So having John Harbaugh as a coach, how good he is special teams wise, that's not a problem. I'm still not worried, even if he had 3 misses, because I've seen the potential. I know the potential's there. I'm not expecting him to be perfect this year. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. I think we definitely do have to kind of curb our expectations when it comes to a rookie kicker, especially. Lisa says in the chat, what about John Hoyland? John Hoyland went 3 for 3 today. He's kind of been up on as well, but I think it's just a lot of good, healthy competition there as of right now. And again, we'll continue to monitor and see how that develops. But if this kid can hit from 50 plus, like if he really gets settled in, and I think a lot of the misses today and a lot of kind of the maybe things you weren't expecting today came from it just being the first day with pads on.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh mentioned in his presser after the practice was over, he said you kind of have to like feel your pads and get used to them. And I remember when I used to play football, Yeah, I mean, it's totally a thing. It's totally different running around in shorts and shirt, in a jersey, with no pads underneath. It's totally different. Like your body moves. It's just an adjustment period that it takes. And so the next couple of days in practice, you'll get a more accurate representation, especially going into next week with the first preseason game coming up. You'll get a more accurate representation of where a lot of these players stand, and I think it's no different for one Tyler Loop. But I was saying in a YouTube short video the other day, Tyler Loop, if this guy can hit from 60 plus, right? And we're pretty much picking up where we left off with Justin Tucker when it comes to leg power, right? Like strength. I think that the Ravens are in really, really good shape with this offense for sure.
Yeah, as he
Let me
shows up
see. Yeah.
kicking, nice follow through. I mean, that's obvious to make. So just the accuracy. What'd you have next?
So next, yeah. So jumping into some Mike Green news. So he was probably the biggest name out of today's training camp. Um, Said he did really well. Joe Schaefer actually tweeted here. He said he ventured over to some O line versus D line 1-on-1s for the last few reps. One note he has: Mike Green got stonewalled on a speed to power rush versus hulking UDFA Gerald Lichtinen. Then he won an inside spin versus fellow rookie Carson Vincent. Um, this was one thing, the whole stonewalled by UDFA thing. Of course, I don't think we had the footage on that, but it was one of my concerns that I was bringing up the other week. I don't know necessarily about the size of Mike Green. Like, I don't know if really going to stand the test of time against some of these larger left tackles. The thing about college football, especially when you're not playing in one of the big name conferences, right, is you're going to be playing against a lot of guys who are either really big with not the greatest technique or guys who are undersized with really good technique. The guys who have both are playing for the best schools, right? In the NFL, everybody is big and everybody's got really damn good technique. So my only fear is that as good as tech, Mike Green has, he might get overpowered a little bit, and that's where I think you see this kind of the stonewall thing coming into play. So, but other than that, as you saw right there, he was taking on the tight end, which was more of like an edge setting drill. I don't think he was really meant to kind of run through or by him. Mike Green, they've said he's looked good. They said he's looked good. The spin move looks crisp. I love that. I can't wait to see him in the preseason. But what are your thoughts on Mike Green post today's news?
Yeah, I'm not too worried. I feel like the NFL is going towards the more athletic tackle prototype now. I think Roger Rosengarten, no disrespect, he's obviously a lot bigger than me, but he's not the bigger type of tackle, like a Falele. He's more of a
Mm,
athletic type right tackle who can, move well. I think that's why he did so well against a TJ Watt and a Miles Garrett because he can move with them. They can't get that first break on
yeah.
him and get right around him. So he might have trouble with the bigger left tackles, and then hopefully that's when the bigger guys step up. But hopefully against like slimmer, maybe more athletic guys, where he gets that push and able to get to the quarterback. So also Zach Ward just kind of scheming him, doing him right, put him in the right positions to get to the quarterback or to get a pressure. So it's gonna come down to coaching. Um, Good from what we're seeing now, but I'm not that worried. Seeing he got stonewalled. Um, Kyle Hamilton got cooked by Bailey Gaither, so we didn't overreact there. We're not going to overreact to that. So until the game film comes on, and maybe through 3 games of preseason, if he's getting held up by some second and third, fourth stringers, then I'm worried. But as of right now, I'm feeling good. I just hope we play him in the preseason.
Yes, yes. I mean that's a big thing for me too. Like we've got to see what this kid can do under the lights, as we've said multiple times here on the show. But yeah, I mean is pretty much day one of seeing what Mike Green got because this is the first of the pads, and I think again as the days progress of training camp with pads on, we'll see a lot more coming from him. So definitely stay tuned for that. See what else we have here. Notes from getting into the DeAndre Hopkins, who had the best catch as a Raven today, one-handed on a fade route over Nate Wiggins in the low red zone from Lamar Jackson. But he did get penalized for offensive pass interference. That one, I think it said he kind of tugged on the helmet of Nate Wiggins on that one, and that was why they didn't count it. But nonetheless, again, like you had mentioned earlier, a phenomenal catch, and it's really good to see early on Lamar Jackson kind of floating the ball up as he loves to do and giving his guy the chance, his receiver coming down with it and kind of, I don't want to say confirming the trust that Lamar Jackson wants to have in his receivers, right? Because Lamar's the type of receiver where like he'll throw it up to you and give you a shot like 50-50 to go get it. And if you go get it, he's like, okay, remember when I made that backyard football throw to you, you came down with it, right? That's why I think he loves Isaiah Likely so much. I think that's why he's kind of learning to love Rashad Bateman, those type of guys. So, it's super encouraging to hear that our what would be wide receiver 3 in DeAndre Hopkins this year in 2025 is playing well so far. He's going to be getting a lot of good looks. I think that, of course, the primary target for defensive coordinators is going to be Zay Flowers when it comes to this receiving core. It's kind of making sure you can keep up with Zay Flowers because that guy can definitely break the game open, as we all know. Rashad Bateman is going to be another one who I think that it's going to be between. Let me ask you this, Alex. Do you think that defensive coordinators are going to scheme into like the priority of Ravens pass catchers? Do you think that they're going to prioritize, scheming against DeAndre Hopkins or Rashad Bateman first? Because we know Zay Flowers is top of the list, but is it going to be Hopkins or Bateman that most defensive coordinators you think will be worried about more?
I think it's going to be Hopkins. I still feel like Bateman's not going to get his respect. I don't know what it is.
Mm,
I kind of saw it, when people were ranking the wide receiver twos. They had him as a 28th best, I think, or like 26th. He was down there low. I still don't think he
yeah.
has that respect. And you know what? As a from a Raven fan standpoint, I'm not mad about it because I think he'll get more one-on-one matchups, which we've seen him absolutely thrive and just cook corners. I mean, he sent corners the wrong way multiple times, and that's fine by me. But I feel like now D Hop, not washed by any means, didn't have a bad year in the past couple of years. Unfortunately, went to the Chiefs, made a couple of plays, had that drop, and that's kind of all guys remember him for. Fan perspective, coaches obviously don't. I want to ask you, uh, if you had to set a line for his touchdowns this year, what are you setting it at? Because it seems like they're going to him in red zone drills, or he's showing he's
Yeah.
reliable. I know Lamar loves a good reliable target in that red zone. What would you set the line at?
I would set the line at see, so here's the thing. I think Vegas would set the line at like 4.5. I do. I would set the line at about 7.5 because, like I said, like you mentioned, it seems like he's the type of target kind of get lost in translation, especially in the red zone, right? As everybody is looking for a Mark Andrews, is looking for Isaiah Likely if he's on the field, is looking to see if it's going to go to Derrick Henry, is looking to see if Lamar Jackson is going to keep it. You know what I mean? There's way too many things that you have to worry about. I didn't even mention Zay Flowers, and I'll talk about him in a second, but there's way too many things that you have to worry about. you know, um, it kind of reminds me of that Cowboys game, the touchdown he had against the Cowboys, the touchdown that he had against the Bengals, right? The second one. It's just plays like that where it's just like, how did he get open? How was the guy not glued to him? I think there's just too much going on in the red zone for this Ravens offense, and that's why the Ravens red zone offense last year was so damn good. I can't remember the exact stats on it, but they were really, really good and very, very efficient, as they have been since Todd Monken's been in the fold with us. But I'd set it about 7.5. But what say you?
I think you're spot on with the Vegas, the 4.5. I think he'll get 5, but it's smart to say because he's obviously had his fair share of soft tissue I words, and I'm not going to throw that out the equation. But you look at all these other guys the Ravens have. I think D Hop, where he'll make his bread and butter. For some reason, we love those plays where we just roll out and just eliminate one side of the field. D Hop has that veteran presence, get both feet in, to, make a grab using his frame. He has those long arms. That's where I think he'll get maybe 2 touchdowns at is when we do those plays where we roll out and everybody knows it's going to the right side or the left side. Kind of like against the Steelers, that 2-point conversion. Don't know why we ran it. His guy wasn't open. I think he'll get, 2 there, but I'm going to go 4.5. I think that's probably the perfect line.
Mm. Okay, so okay, I disagree with 4.5 personally. I think that Lamar Jackson and Rashad Bateman's connection has grown over the years. I think he trusts him a lot more now. There are multiple touchdown plays last year where it's like, you know, he looked like Lamar Jackson's guy. And one of the touchdowns that I really call back to was the one against the Chargers Thursday ball, that deep one where he kind of catches it. The guy's like blanketed all over him. I think right there, right then and there, Lamar Jackson kind of knew, like, okay, I've got me a new, weapon here that I could just kind of go deep to. You know what I mean? Like, I think you're gonna see a lot more than 4 touchdowns from Rashad.
Oh, I was talking about
But I
DeAndre
will
Hopkins.
say,
I was talking about Hopkins, not Bateman.
are you talking about Hopkins?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I was not talking about Bateman.
oh yeah, yeah. Oh, Hopkins. Oh, I'd put the line at 3.5, maybe four and
Okay,
a half,
okay, yeah.
but I'd say 3.5. But but for
Bateman, I'm
Bateman,
putting at
I'd say
like
7.5.
I might put 8.5 because he had 9, I think, last year, then 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could totally see Rashad Bateman getting over 7.5
Yeah,
touchdowns. Where do you think Zay Flowers' touchdown line
that's
should
a
be?
good one.
Because for me, I would say Zay Flowers' touchdown line would be 4.5, maybe 5.5. I'd say 5.5.
I think 5.5, 6.5, because that's one thing I know he wants to pick up in his game is more touchdowns. I think he's what 1,000-yard receiver with 6 touchdowns. I need more than that, and that's not trying to ask more for him, but when you're a Pro Bowler, I think you got to be touching double digits, you're getting close to it. And I think he knows that. I think that's why he kind of said he's going to stop going sideways, because he knows he can turn it upfield and get a touchdown. So I'm gonna go 6.5 because I think guys are gonna take the over. Um, but I just think with too many guys, it's gonna be hard to see him getting double digits. But I'll go 6.5 as a smart Vegas odds.
I think that for that reason you just stated, there's a lot of mouths to feed on that offense, right? That's number one. Number two, the way that Todd Monken's Ravens offense utilizes Zay Flowers, they like to get him the ball near the line of scrimmage, right? Clear out, get him the ball and see what he can do, see if he can get upfield. They also get him the ball in the intermediate level of the field, right? So basically, whenever they get him the ball, he's got guys to beat. He's got guys ahead of him. He's not necessarily like they don't use him typically as like a game breaking, go route guy. Like they would do with like a Tyreek Hill. Just run past and go run underneath the ball and catch it, and you're gonna score a bunch of touchdowns and get a bunch of yards that way, right? Like 2023 Tyreek. He's not like that. They don't utilize him like that. And then red zone, where it's just so close. I mean, there's a high probability that ball's going to Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, likely or a receiver that gets lost, right? And it's a lot easier, I think, for Lamar Jackson to kind of throw to a bigger body, especially that tight in the red zone. You want a guy who can, contested catch, things like that. So again, it's just like all the things. Now, what I will say that Zay Flowers, I think he'll have more yards. I think his yardage line should be higher than Rashad Bateman's, right?
Mhm.
But the touchdown line, I think that Rashad Bateman's line would be a little bit higher. So yeah, that's what I'll say on that. That was a fun exercise. I like
That's a
that.
good point. That's a good point.
Let's see what else came out of training camp today. Let me see. Drop in the chat what you took from training camp to what you took recently from Ravens training camp, so we can go ahead and discuss it. Penalties.
Yes.
Penalties today raced a number of big plays per Jeff Sarebek. Offensively, including a circus catch in the end zone by Hopkins, of course. Let me see. So pre-snap penalties and post-snap penalties. So today, the post-snap penalties were a problem. Last week, the pre-snap penalties were a big thing, and Todd Monken had spoke about that, how, that's something that needs to get cleaned up. In July, I'm not as worried about it. I do expect for, as we get to the season, the guys to have a little bit more discipline and not to see that problem kind of rise up that much. But what are your thoughts on the penalties so far?
We were one of the most penalized teams last year. It's a trend. And I think it starts up top. I'm frustrated. I think the coach should be doing a better job at this because you're not going to win Super Bowls getting a ton of penalties or giving away free yards or taking away yards. It's just not how it goes. And I thought the Eagles last year in the playoffs played clean games, and that's how it has to be. You can't have a big play, holding, calls it back. That's how you're gonna leave points out there on the field. So I'm glad they're working to get it cleaned up now, and I think Todd Monken has kind of been pretty open about that and pretty vulgar about that as well with his language. I think so. I hope
Yeah.
we can get it done. And we have the preseason and all, but come week one, think about week one last year. Remember how that first drive started?
I don't quite remember now. Remind me.
we had 3 or 4 penalties because Ronnie Stanley wasn't lined up on the line that they just
Oh
forgot.
yeah.
That's how, and
Yep.
they really didn't call it the rest of the year, but even then, stuff like that, stupid penalties. You cannot have them. It cannot be given away yards. So I hope we get it cleaned up before week 1. We say that every year. I just hope this is the year they prove us wrong.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, you know, another thing I wanted to mention, you talk about like top down, you talk about like the things that need to be cleaned up in order to have the playoff success to win the Super Bowl. One thing coach, or not head coach, but defensive coordinator Zach Orr talked about, and another thing that Marlon Humphrey brought up too in their pressers, turnovers, and forcing turnovers.
Yep.
That is a huge point of emphasis. Marlon Humphrey actually tweeted yesterday. I don't even think he said anything. He just tweeted a graphic, right? It was a picture he took of the 2000 Ravens defensive stats, right? In that season, the 2000 Ravens have 46 takeaways, number 1 in the league, of course. But where it gets interesting is when you look at the postseason, the Ravens forced 11 turnovers in the postseason. That is the key. That was the catalyst to the Ravens winning that Super Bowl that year, right? You can say we want, offensively, Trent Dilfer, all that. They didn't need offense, right? All it was just, hey, we're taking the ball from you, and we're not turning the ball over.
Yep.
Unfortunately, the modern Ravens are the complete opposite in the playoffs. Like, we give the ball away, but we never take it back. And that makes it so hard no matter how talented your roster is. I mean, and that's what makes it so frustrating because honestly, the 2024 Ravens were better than the 2024 Bills. Quite frankly, they were a better team. The 2023 Ravens were than the 2023 Chiefs, if you ask me. They were the better team. They were supposed to win that game, but they didn't win that game because they could not force turnovers and simultaneously they were giving the ball away. I mean, it's just as simple as that. You know, we always bring it up on this show. Whoever wins the turnover battle, this is a real stat. Whoever wins the turnover battle in an NFL game, they win the game 80% of the time. I think the exact number is like 79.8. 80% of the time, the team that wins the turnover battle wins the game. That is an undeniable stat, right? So I love the emphasis from, the defensive coordinator. Of course, we got Chuck Pagano back. Um, I love the emphasis on forcing turnovers this year, like causing havoc, forcing mistakes, things like that. And I think that that's where our pass rush, uh, if if the pass this year, if guys like Mike Green, if guys like Owe, if guys like Kyle and Noy can continue to perform, and we have a revered 5 pass rush that causes mistakes, that cause these quarterbacks to make errant throws, to maybe get knocked off their spot, all the things. Of course, our secondary is going to eat. We've got one of the best secondaries, if not the best secondary in the league. There should be no reason, no excuse why they even are not top 5 in turnovers, and taking that into the playoffs, right? Turning over some of these really good teams. I'm not just talking about the Houston Texans or the Steelers or, any other lower level team that we may face. I'm talking about Bills, talking about Chiefs.
Yep.
The only 2 teams need to really, really, lock in on getting here because nobody talks about the 2020 the 2023 game against the Texans, that divisional win. Nobody talks about that win. Nobody talks about the wild card win against the Steelers last year. Nobody cares, right? Ravens in that mix with the Chiefs and the Bills when it comes to the AFC, right? And we can't seem to beat either of those teams. So we sit third fiddle right now. And the is being able to turn those teams over and not giving away the football because we're already a better team than them roster wise.
Yeah, and when you look at our playoff wins in this era, look at the quarterbacks they were against: Ryan Tannehill, Russell Wilson, and a rookie CJ Stroud. Does that
Right.
really stand off to you? Like, are you really like, wow, that's a quality win? And you bring up turnover battles. I don't want to go back too far,
Yeah.
but 2019, we were the better team than Titans. It on paper, much better. I'll go back to our previous playoff, 2014. We actually won the turnover battle against the Steelers. On paper, the Steelers had a better roster than the Ravens. We won that game because of a turnover. Because Terrell Suggs had a pick in between his legs, in the red zone.
Yeah.
gives Joe Flacco, surprise, surprise, short field. We go and score a touchdown on that drive. It's stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
2018
Ravens
playoffs against
defense
the
has never
Chargers.
given Lamar Jackson a short field.
Mhm.
Yeah. They've never given Lamar Jackson a short field. You can go look that up. That is a fact. Okay. I think they've only had 2 turnovers. I want just 2 turnovers in every single Lamar Jackson playoff game.
Yeah.
Now, of course, Lamar Jackson has got to stop turning the football over in the playoffs. Can't do that. He had 2 early, and everybody looks at that as like, oh, Lamar shits the bed in the playoffs. But then second half comes out and he's absolutely deep. He's on fire. He has the offense humming. But then of course we had the other turnover. So it's just like as a collective, as a team, and it starts from the top, right? Offense has got to coach these guys up to not make mistakes in the biggest moments. Defense has got to coach these guys up to force mistakes in the biggest moments. And that is the key. That is the difference between the Ravens, having another early playoff exit and hoisting that Lombardi. Simple as
Hey,
that.
I'm glad you brought it up. I saw Nick Wright was just spewing nonsense per usual about this team. I think he got mad that Mina Kimes said the Ravens had a better roster, a team than the Bills. Because Allen and beat us or whatever. But it's true. We have a better roster. I think it's us and the Eagles. And you look at Vegas. I looked at we're the Super Bowl favorite right now. Do I like it? Not one bit. Do I think we should be there? Not one bit, because this team still has not proven to me, in certain games, when the going gets hard, um, guys still run away from the game. They don't run to it. I want that to change, but no excuses is kind of how it is. But like you bring up quarterback stat, I just feel like they bring up these win losses for every quarter, like just for everybody else. Like it's just Lamar who gets these win losses. Like I don't see it for any other quarterback. You know what I mean? Like Herbert, I don't see it. Hell, Josh Allen before this year, he beat Mason Rudolph, Mac Jones, Tyler Huntley in the playoff game. Nobody talked about that. And it took
Yeah.
a generational fumble this year to beat the. It's I don't know, but it's every year we say this, so it's just Groundhog Day.
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same stuff. And I honestly, I understand why Lamar Jackson faces a higher level of scrutiny as opposed to some of these other quarterbacks because he is a 2-time and should be 3-time MVP. And there aren't a whole lot of MVP quarterbacks who have not won Super Bowls, right? So like that is the only thing that's keeping him from kind of entering that upper echelon discussion of top quarterbacks of all time. And to really, really get that respect because honestly, everybody knows. Tyrell even knows your favorite player. Favorite player's favorite player, right? I'm not saying your favorite player, Alex, but like your favorite player's favorite player is probably Lamar Jackson. And we saw Tyreek Hill said himself, like he had the option to pick Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, and he said Lamar Jackson. I think that speaks volumes. A lot of people know that Lamar Jackson is probably the most talented athlete in the NFL. Period. It's just a matter of can he win the one. That's it. Don C mentions in here about Nick Wright, and I saw I think Cam is in the house as well. What's going on, Cam? Get you coming through, giving a shout out to the replay gang. But yeah, talking about Nick Wright and being a professional troll. I think I just don't. I don't think that Wright really follows the Ravens closely enough to speak on them the way that he does. Because I've heard him say in the past couple of weeks things like, "Oh, the Ravens roster has regressed."
Yeah,
Right? And it's just so funny to me how in July, it's so easy to like push a narrative about the Ravens, how they're going to regress. They might not be as good. They're not as you might think that they are because they lost a piece or two here or there. You know what I'm saying? Um, and I just don't understand. Like, is he not paying attention to the Ravens getting a top safety in the draft to pair up with already a top safety in the NFL? Is he not paying attention to their stealing what should have been a first round pick edge rusher? Is he not paying attention to the fact that the 2 edge rushers that they retained last year, Faye Owe and Kyle Van Noy, both had double-digit sacks? Is he not paying attention to, top 5 tackler Roquan Smith still being there? Is he not paying attention to, of course, Lamar Jackson now having DeAndre Hopkins? Oh, wait a minute, let's not go to the offense yet. He's not paying attention to Jair Alexander. Right? Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey. I mean, the reason why I know he's not paying attention to Jair Alexander is because he thinks that the biggest offseason action for Ravens is DeAndre Hopkins. And if you ask me, I mean, I guess it's debatable, but if you ask me, I think Jair Alexander is a much more impactful pickup than DeAndre Hopkins is in 2025. Would you agree with that, Alex?
I would 100% agree. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just don't know exactly how qualified a Nick Wright is. And don't get me wrong, I like listening to Nick Wright. Honestly, I like hearing some of his statements and things like that. Some of them are pretty entertaining. But when it comes to the Ravens, I do think he has a little bit of an agenda. You know what I mean? You would think that you would think the Ravens knocked off the Chiefs in 2023. That the way that he talks about the Ravens so negatively. But yeah, I don't know. I try to take everything he says with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and listen, they're getting their views, like I said, on YouTube. They get a lot of good views, so good on them. That's why they're still in the air. I'm just a guy sitting at home right now. I do this for fun. I don't think Nick Wright, honestly, NFL wise, has a lot of room to talk. I've seen some of his takes before. I think he speaks too much with the heart than the mind. I saw a clip that when Tom Brady went to the Buccaneers, he said he was the worst quarterback in that division. In 2020, he said Drew Brees, Matt Ryan, and Teddy Bridgewater were all better than him.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that
I kid,
reminds me of when
I
yeah.
kid you not.
go-
It's
I, well, it's hot take culture. That's what it is,
it is, but
It's like guys like that, they profit, they generate and Cam Newton is honestly starting to realize this as well with
yeah,
like giving hawks and what that really does for your business. Because I think Colin Cowherd did it a while back. He did the same thing with LeBron James. He said when Ben Simmons came to the league, he's like, "All right, LeBron, we're good, bro." You know what I mean? And all these years later, LeBron James is still hooping. He's still one of the best players in the world. It's just, it's a hot take.
yeah,
They have to give it. Um, of course, he went on to eat crow because he won the Super Bowl that season. But yeah, man, you just gotta you gotta take what he says with a grain of salt for sure. Let me see what else you guys are saying here in the chat. Um, Let me see. We got Crystal in here. What's going on, Crystal? Let me see. Don says, I love Tyreek Hill saying Lamar is the quarterback over Patrick. He's definitely glazing Lamar for a chance at another Super Bowl. Uh, well, I remember when the whole Hill to Baltimore speculation, was happening between the fans and whatnot. I knew that was never getting any traction, but nonetheless, it did happen. What else do we have to get to, Alex? Anything we're missing here?
a fight, a fight in
Ah,
practice today.
yes.
A fight.
Yes, yes, yes.
Pads come on, hands get thrown between Odafe Owe and the rookie out of, I believe, he went out, was Alabama A&M, I believe? Carson Vincent.
I believe.
Odafe Owe against Carson
Yeah.
Vincent. Mm,
Yeah. I mean, to me, I think it's just tempers rising, so tempers flaring. It's one of those things. The pads are on now. They're allowed to get physical. They're allowed to put hands on each other. Now they have. Let me say this. They have not gone fully live yet, right? They're not going live bullets. They're not tackling to the ground, things like that. They're wrapping up and let go. They're kind of going still kind of. I don't want to say half speed, but like half reps. They're not finishing reps, but still they're putting hands on each other, and it's the first day that they've been able to really, really do that. Lineman versus edge rusher. These guys are going to be going head up at each other in practice, and I kind of like Adafe Owe testing the young kid. I kind of like him testing him.
yeah, I mean, it's good on, and I was telling you from before, I'm like, good on Carson. I'm like, no, Owe, did you get beat? Because, like, why is a rookie scrapping with a fifth-year guy who just came off his best season as a pro? But I'm liking it, I'm liking seeing that they're fighting. Not physically. I don't want that, but like physical with each other. But I think it's good on Carson Vincent showing he has a lot of heart in him. I think it's good for your linemen. I like my
Yeah.
linemen to be dogs and defensive edge to be dogs. So iron sharpens iron, I guess is what they say. But hopefully we don't get many more of this. And if I were to see maybe a scuffle or two, it's in the joint practices we have with the Colts, not not with each other.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. Cam says the fight in the trenches. I love it. Then again, I'm biased. Do we have video? Is it always showing Carson standing his ground against the vet? I love it. Yeah, no video. There was
Video.
no footage of that. Wish there would have been, but apparently there was a huge, dog pile of guys over there to kind of break it up. And I don't think it lasted very long. But again, the passion is there. Football is back. I mean, it's a very passionate sport. You know, if you've ever played the game of football, I don't want to say it's like emotional, but like it is, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of spiritual when you're out there on that field and you're trying to move other grown men around. It's tough. Up and tears can definitely flare out there, especially in that heat. Apparently today was the hottest practice day thus far. So again, love the passion from the guy. Still love watching DeAndre Hopkins catch in the back corner of the end zone right there. That was sweet right there. I think Harbaugh. Moving on, Harbaugh also gave some props to second cornerback Nate Wiggins for being, making plays consistently and stringing together good practices, things like that. So, and I also want to say I heard somewhere, Alex. Let me know if you heard this, but Zach Orr was saying that we might see Nate Wiggins travel
Yes,
with the receiver one. Did you hear that?
I did hear that. I heard that. That is
Nice.
obvious. I think to other people they might not mean a lot, but to us as Ravens fans, the amount of just like faith they have in Nate Wiggins, wow. Traveling with the
Yeah.
ones. Think about the ones in this division. DK Metcalf, Jamar Chase,
Mm,
Jerry Judy. Wow.
mm. Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting season. That's all I can really say. Like I cannot wait to see you know, how this secondary really performs. And honestly, like I said 10 minutes ago, I want to see turnovers, right? I want to see our guys glue. I want to see coverage sacks. I want to see turnovers. That's what I want to see from this Ravens defense. The secondary is just absolutely stacked. And like you said, it's very encouraging to hear how much faith that they have in second year cornerback Nate Wiggins, because if he can kind of travel back and forth with the guys, like you just said, Jamar Chase, Judy, like is going to be, mm, man, this Ravens defense, and we haven't even talked about the safeties. But man, good stuff hearing from the coaches there. I think that was about it that we had from training camp up to this point.
Yeah.
Again, they'll continue practicing in the next couple of days. Alex, you got anything else for me?
Not really. I see Dre says I enjoy when Tylen and Devin Duvernay put hands on the Commanders. Yeah, I'm not condoning fighting, but I like seeing that fight, no pun intended, out of your players. Standing up, not letting
Yes.
just get pushed around by another player. I mean, who would have thought Emmanuel Forbes is on a new team and Tylen Wallace is still with the Ravens and signed, another contract with us? That's surprising. So I'm happy for the guys like that who fight for the team and just stand their ground. So I expect to have another one, against the Colts when they come in town because you're kind of waiting to get hands on other guys and back up your guys. So, we might see Owe backing up Carson Vincent and not them fighting each other, but and vice versa. So that's really all we have, I think, now for training camp today. Over the weekend, though, I saw Tez Walker made a couple of good catches. He's been a real standout throughout the training camp
Yeah.
so far, which is good to see. So with Cooper Rush back there, throw Tez Walker a couple moon balls. Let me see what he's made of, against the opposing opposition. But so far, so good right now at the Ravens.
Yeah, so far so good. No major I words, things like that. We'll continue to monitor. Now let me see. Go ahead and drop your questions down below in the chat. Whatever you got for us. It could be about this year's Ravens. It could be about any other team in the sport. It can be about other sports. It could be about anything. Drop your questions down below in the live chat if you're watching live. If you're not watching live and you're part of the hashtag replay game, thank you so much for getting to this episode of the show and getting to this point in the episode. Make sure you drop your questions down below in the comments. We got Rod Wave in here. Let me see. Rod Wave says, "Yo, do you think the Rams game might be our hardest this year?"
They always play us tough, man. I mean, they played us tough the past two times we played them. Coming to the bank,
Yeah, man.
they are a tough team. Stafford loves
Hardest
a game
game
against
though.
us. Hardest, I think the Bengals will be the hardest. I mean, we have the Chiefs and the Bills,
Mm,
but I think getting the Bengals, mid-season Thanksgiving, that's gonna be a hard game. Rams, I'll go top 5, but
hmm. Go top 5. Level. Top 5 Bengals, Rams, Chiefs, Bills. I don't want to say
I
Lions.
I don't. Yeah, I think they're gonna fall off this year, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do too, just a little bit. Let me
I mean,
see.
JJ
What's the
McCarthy hasn't looked
last
that
one?
good in training camp either, from what I've seen, which isn't good for Vikings fans.
Don't sleep on honestly, man. I hate to say it. I hate to say it. I really do. But the Steelers, I think, will again be a
Oh, they'll
tough
play
out
us
for the
hard. Yeah,
Ravens.
yeah.
They're going to play us hard. That's going to be a very, very difficult game. Um, so yeah, I'd probably put them in my top 5 as well. I definitely put them in my top 5. But yeah,
I can respect it.
let me yeah, let me see what I had for you here, Alex. Let me see. While I pull this up, Dre says, "Do y'all feel Jake Ferguson deal improves our chances at getting him around that price?" Talking about Isaiah Likely. Yeah, that's another topic that we
Yeah.
did not touch on this episode. So Jake Ferguson just got paid. Let me pull up the contract details here in full. Jake
13
Ferguson.
mil a year for him is kind of crazy. I feel like they should be paying other players, but who am I to pocket watch? I think it's gonna make it easier. I think he's gonna give Likely more than that, and you get him locked down. So I think it does improve our chances.
Yeah, I think you have to get it done sooner than later,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean the market's only going to higher and higher for this guy. I mean Isaiah Likely can easily make the argument that he deserves more than a Jake Ferguson. So I think you lock him down as soon as you can. I mean, especially considering that this guy Isaiah Likely is a huge reason for the Ravens' success, and I'm not even just talking about his pass catching ability and what he's able to do run after the catch, but his blocking and just overall how much the Ravens benefit from running those heavier packages, the 12 and even sometimes 22 personnel with two tight ends on the field with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely. It's largely beneficial for the Ravens to go ahead and lock him up because I still think he's the best. I still think he's the best tight end currently on the Ravens roster. No disrespect to Mark Andrews, but I do think that Likely skill set, right, is something that it can't go unnoticed when you're having these conversations about who deserves to roster spots, who deserves to get to a second contract with the Ravens. Like Isaiah Likely's impact is absolutely huge, and of course we're going to continue to respect Mark Andrews, but it's one of those things, man, where you kind of have to keep him. A lot of teams would not want to have two like premier tight end roster, but for the Ravens, it's absolutely necessary. And Isaiah Likely, I think he's next up as tight end one.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Still root for Mark Andrews. I actually think he's gonna have a good year
Yeah,
this year. Like I think he's gonna get fueled by the hate, but unfortunately, whatever he does is kind of he's at the point now with Lamar. Obviously, not comparing the two impact, but whatever he does during the regular season won't count anymore, and you kind of discredit it. It's what
yeah,
you do in the playoffs, and it's kind
yep,
of you. It's a victim of your own success, I'd say, because you had 11 touchdowns last year. You led the league in touchdowns as a tight end, but you're getting written off. So how are you gonna respond? Um, it's
yeah.
what you do in January, unfortunately.
In January, exactly. Just for context, let's see some stats between Jake Ferguson and Isaiah Likely in 3 years. 3 years, Jake Ferguson has 149 receptions, 1,429 receiving yards, 7 touchdowns, and that is on 210 targets. Isaiah Likely in 3 years, 108 receptions, 1,261 receiving yards, 14 touchdowns on 158 targets. So that's twice the touchdowns with 52 fewer targets for Isaiah Likely. So he absolutely could demand more money. So we'll see. We will see. I think he definitely deserves it though, for sure. Let me see. Don here. comment. I really hope we put respect on the O line and making sure we put our go get the. I can't really tell what you were saying here. Let me pull it up on the screen. Make it a little bigger. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be.
I got
Putting respect on the O line. Make sure we go put our best left guard. We can currently on the team that kicker and nose tackle. My biggest concern. Uh, yeah, left guard is still we don't. It's still the biggest question mark I think on the team now. Left guard, right guard. We know what's going to happen there, but left guard we really don't know if Andrew Voorhees if it's his job to lose. I would assume so. We don't know how he's necessarily going to perform. Um, Andrew Voorhees, I think he had a very up and down year last season. The biggest thing, the biggest attribute that he has going on for him is his strength. I know that a lot of people said that he's one of the strongest guys on the team. So if he can take those physical abilities and kind of mix them in with some more technique this year, I think he'll be fine. But left guard, I still would say is the question mark on the team. Don.
it is. Yeah, I see. Brendan Sheriff still out there. People have been talking about him. Still out there. I mean, at this point, what is it going to take for him to sign to a team? We're in the final phases before the season. If you offer him, a team friendly deal, and that's all you have out there, you're going to take it? Or you're going to wait and hope, maybe, hate to say it, hope for somebody to go down, and then you're, given good money? That's up to him and his agent.
Yeah. Yeah. It is indeed. Okay. So I think that is all we have for this episode of the show. Well, let me wrap it with this. Dre says, I know Christian Wilkins is on some freak stuff, but how y'all feel about him? Yeah, so yeah, Christian Wilkins is looking for work now. It
Yeah.
came out that there was a weird situation in the locker room between him and a teammate or something like that. I heard he kissed the guy on the forehead or something
Give him
like
a
that.
bedtime kiss. A little nighttime.
Yeah,
Read him a
yeah.
bedtime story, kissed him on the forehead.
But it's crazy because like all these, like videos are like resurfacing online of like Christian Wilkins doing like sus stuff on the field, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
bro, what is happening here? Like I didn't know
We're
about
losing
any of
most
this
of
stuff
these.
going down, but it's pretty funny to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It's and kind of crazy too. Kind of
it is. I mean, in these NFL locker rooms, you have so many personalities, and where guys come from. Maybe at Clemson, guys were cool with you. Maybe giving a little smooch on the forehead, but especially like the Raiders just find a way to have the worst PR in the world. The guys they draft, their coaches, guys they sign. It's not. I mean, I think they might be cursed. I think they sacrificed a lot to win all those championships in the 70s and 80s, and are now just kind of facing just the consequences now.
yeah. I mean, not to mention they are in Vegas, which is known to be. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Let me see. K Dog says Saw Fryermuth is getting frustrated with Aaron Rodgers. His checkdowns feel that's all Aaron Rodgers has left in the tank. Too many hallucinogenics. That's funny. Yeah, I did see that. I honestly think that Aaron Rodgers. I've been thinking about it, Alex. I think that Aaron Rodgers can have a really good season with the Steelers. I think that the Steelers provides Aaron Rodgers the stability that he needs at this stage in his career to just kind of go out and not necessarily have to worry about anything else. Mike Tomlin is still the head of the ship. Aaron Rodgers is just a certified mercenary. Whereas last the Jets think that they were looking at Aaron Rodgers to kind of be like the judge, jury, and executioner on that team, to be all the things. And I don't think that's him at this stage in his career. But in Pittsburgh, and I know my tone sounds a little bit different about this now than it did a couple of months ago, but I don't know, man. I'm thinking he can have a pretty good year. That's another reason why I said the Steelers could probably be a very tough game because they're going to play us tough. And if they have a quarterback who can make, a 3rd and 9 throw to keep their offense on the field and keep them driving down the field, I mean, we could be looking at some low scoring 17 to 10, 17 to 14 games against the Steelers. Like, but I'm not really worried about the checkdowns, right? I think he'll play well this year.
As long as he can last to play the Ravens whenever we play them. I don't think he
He was
plays
what,
all
week
17 games.
11, something like that.
Yeah, I don't think he
We don't
makes
play
it.
that till late.
Yeah. Um AFC North ball, you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hit and it's gonna hurt.
Oh, for sure.
And this isn't AFC East. All right. Say the NFC North. This is the AFC North. Um, just watch how you play around here. That's all I'm gonna say. Because we're a different division. We are.
Sounds like you're threatening.
You know,
Oh my god.
just look no further. Miles Garrett twice a year. If Trey Hendrickson signs twice a year, um, you got guys in the Ravens. Hell, Kyle Van Noy knocked some sense in Russell Wilson last year. Roquan Smith,
Yeah.
hopefully, he has looked a little leaner from what guys are saying, so that's good. He'll he'll welcome you, and even Kyle Hamilton. I would not want to have Kyle Hamilton run at you, off your blind side, and you don't see him. It's not going to end well.
Yeah, I honestly think it's more so the interior pressure that he'll face
Mm,
against the Ravens, that'll really throw him off. Quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, who are more statuesque, right? I mean, obviously earlier in Rodgers' career, he had a little bit more pep in his step, but now he's kind of more like, sit back, fling it. He's not going to be running all over the field. So that interior pressure is really, really gonna, I think, throw him off. It's gonna force him to make some throws that he doesn't necessarily want to make, but he's just gonna. It's his farewell tour. He's gonna have some like F it. DK is down there somewhere type moments, right? Or whoever is down there somewhere type of moments, and I think that will definitely play into the hands of the back end of our secondary. So do not be surprised if our secondary comes up with a couple of picks off of Aaron Rodgers this year, but he could definitely burn us a few times too. So
yeah.
we'll wait to see what happens there. Um, Let me see. Yes, I think that was all the news that we needed to cover from this episode of show. Yeah. Oh wait, one more thing, Alex. One more thing. You brought this up to me before we went on. Steelers.
Oh,
Yeah, you know
they
what
have a
I'm about to
fetish.
say. The
They have a
Steelers are.
fetish.
Yeah. What is going on? Chuck
Um,
Clark now too?
if this one was targeted. Chuck Clark obviously doesn't like the Ravens for the way things ended. So it's Chuck Clark, Patrick Queen, Jeremiah Moon, Malik Harrison, and Deshaun Elliott. And possibly Marcus Williams, because he worked out for them as well.
Yeah, I heard that. I,
No shade.
I, I
Obviously, a lot of context is missing when I say this. The one time the Ravens missed the playoffs in the Lamar era, the one season, guess who our safety duo was to start that year off? Deshaun Elliott and Chuck Clark. I'm going to leave it there.
mm,
Leave it there.
yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there, man. I mean, I don't know what's necessarily going on there. I don't know what Mike Tomlin or the GM really sees in these ex-Ravens players. I mean, of course, all respect to them. While they were with us, we loved them as we should. But this is very weird, and it's not something that has historically happened, especially not at this clip. So, something kind of funny to talk about there. Steelers kind of getting the Ravens sloppy seconds in a way, but it is what it is, man. It is what
Yeah,
it
that's a
is.
good way to put it. It's weird. I mean, we wouldn't. Every once in a while, you sign a player. Mike Wallace, we signed from them, Villanueva, but like this many players on your defense, it's getting concerning. It's like when one friend does something, like a little weird, but then like they kind of up it the next time. It's like, all right, like there might be a problem here. Like, let's talk.
Yeah, like what's going on? Let's
Yeah,
yeah,
like one or two,
exactly.
okay, we get it, but this much, yeah,
Kind of weird.
it's weird. Yeah,
Let's just call them the Pittsburgh Ravens now, says Black Ice,
yeah,
and Dre says the same thing. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. Kind of what it feels like. But no, I don't know. I guess kind of flattering. Kind of
yeah.
flattering in a way. I'll look at it like that.
EDC,
But yeah,
that's
we're gonna go ahead
fine.
and wrap this episode 324 of PRP up. We appreciate all y'all for coming through. Again, the season is right around the corner, so make sure you subscribe if you are new. Like this video as well. That helps us out a ton. And yeah, we're gonna catch you guys in the next one. But with that being said, I'm gonna let my guy Alex take us out.
Yes, thank you for coming through to episode 324 of the Purple Rain Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive, test negative.
Yes, and never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. It's been episode 324 of PRP. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.